All right, here is your daily dose of challenge on prime logic. If you want to solve this problem, please pause the video because I'm going to solve this problem right now. So we have a table of circles and some operations in between. I need you to fill in this table such that, so let's just label the table, okay? For the sake of simplicity. So let's just name them as variables as B, A, B, C, and D. So I need you to fill out or fill in this table such that A times B equals 15, A plus C equals 3, and then we have C minus D equals 5, and then we have B plus D, which equals 12. So let's just write down on paper whatever I just told you for just in order to make it more clear. So AB equals 15, right? That's from the first row, the first operation. Let's just go this way. A plus C equals 3, right? So A plus C equals 3. Let's go this way. C minus D equals 5, and then final operation, the final column, B plus D equals 12. Okay, so this is just basic interpretation from the table. From the first relationship, let's just say, for example, A equals 15 over B, right? So A equals 15 over B. Let's just substitute this into the second relationship. So instead of A, I just substitute A plus C equals 3. So A is 15 over B plus C equals 3. So let's just isolate C from in the one side. So we can say C equals 3 minus 15 over B. Okay, so first relationship, second relationship. Let's now put it in the third relationship that we found. So instead of C, we can just substitute 3 minus 15 over B. So 3 minus 15 over B minus D equals 5. Let's just isolate D. So D we can say equals minus, so 5 minus 2 minus 15 over B, right? So that's also another relationship. We just isolated D. D equals minus 2 minus 15 over B. Let's just put it and substitute D into the last relationship. So we have B plus D, which is this thing. So we don't need the sign. So minus 2 minus 15 over B equals what? Equals 12. So let's just simplify that further. So we can just put a box around this part. So let's just multiply every term by B so we get rid of this B into the denominator. Okay, so every term multiplied by B. So B squared minus 2B, right? Minus 15, because the B in the upper part of the fraction and the lower part, they are canceled out, equals 12B. So if we simplify, we reach to this quadratic equation, B squared minus, so minus 2B minus 12B minus 14B minus 15 equals 0, right? So that's the classic quadratic equation. B squared minus 14B minus 15 equals 0. So I think this should be kind of obvious. So two terms, if we add them together, they are minus 14. If we multiply them together, they become minus 15. So think about it for a couple of seconds. So two numbers, if we multiply that, the product of which is minus 15, and the sum of which is minus 14. So that's 15 and minus 15 and 1, right? So we can say b minus 15 times b plus 1 equals 0. Because if we multiply minus 15 by plus 1, it is minus 15. If we add them together, minus 15 plus 1, it's minus 14. So this quadratic equation is two roots. So in one root, b minus 15 equals 0. In other words, b equals 15. So that's one root. Another root, b plus 1 equals 0, or b equals minus 1. Okay, sorry. So two roots, now what? So we can just substitute, because we have two roots, we have two sets of numbers. So we just don't have one set of numbers for every one of those variables. For example, a, b, c, d. We have two options, two alternatives for each of those variables. So let's just consider and calculate the first case scenario. So if for example, b is minus 1. So if b is minus 1, so let's just take a look at the first one. So I just substitute into our original equations. B is minus 1 equals, so a times b equals 15, right? In other words, a equals minus 15, sorry, yes. So minus 15 times minus 1 is 15. So a is minus 15, so let's just substitute in the second equation. Let's just substitute in the second relationship, right? So minus 15 plus c equals 3. In other words, c equals 3 plus 15, which is 18, right? Always double check. So 18, so minus, so 18 plus a, which is minus 15, it is 3. So c is 18. Let's just substitute in the next relationship. So 18 minus d equals 5. In other words, d equals 18 minus 5, which is 13. Okay, let's just finally put it in the last part, but we don't need it, right? Because that's already b, but we can just double check. So b, we found it as minus 1. So minus 1 plus 13 is 12, which makes sense. It's correct. So that was the first case, right? As b was minus 1. So let's now assume b is 15 and just find another set of numbers. So a times 15 equals 15. So we can say a equals 1, the first relationship. So next one, a plus c equals 3. So 1 plus c equals 3. So we can say that c equals 2. Okay. Then in the next one, c minus d equals 5. So 2 minus d equals 5. So we can say d equals 2 minus 5, which is minus 3. And finally, let's just substitute and make sure if it is correct. So b plus d equals 12. b was 15 plus d, which is minus 3, equals 12, which is correct. So that's the next set of numbers that we found. So that's going to wrap it up for today. I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel, and see you on our next video on prime logic.